Welcome to FedScoop TV. I'm Wyatt Cash, and we're here at the 8th Annual Lowering the Cost of Government IT Forum, and I'm here today with Elizabeth Raley. Elizabeth is the Director of Professional Services at Civic Actions, and welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Just briefly tell us a little bit about what Civic Actions is about.
Yeah, we are a web strategy firm. We're bringing agile and web development to our government clients.
Mm-hmm. And I understand you just have a new contract with the state of California and helping them, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So I'd like to first start off what are some of the key drivers for IT transformation? I know Agile's part of that, but how do you make that tangible to people and describe the savings that result in the long run from that?
Yeah, I like to think of it as 5 components. Starting with culture, community, open source, agile, and transparency. So when I talk about culture, I'm talking about the beliefs and values that the people have within the agency. When I talk about community, it's how we interact with each other and sharing our stories. Open source, I'm talking about open source software, which frees us from having expensive licenses and prohibits vendor lock-in. With transparency, I'm talking about how we communicate, being open, open communication, open about our progress, our status, our policies, and I'm losing the last one that I had. Agile.
There we go.
The most important one, actually. Although I think Agile kind of ties all of them in, but with Agile, I'm talking about the software development of talking to our users, doing fast iterations, learning from what we're creating.
Mm-hmm. Well, we certainly heard a lot about that at the conference today, and it sounds like agencies are making some pretty good headway compared to a lot of skepticism and, as you pointed out earlier on, the cultural inertia of the old waterfall approach. So, well, you mentioned culture, and I guess I'd go back to that. Why is culture such a critical component to IT transformation, and how do agencies go about changing the culture? And many will tell us the IT part's actually the easy part. It's the culture issue. So what do you recommend as an approach?
Well, if culture is our beliefs and our behaviors, then it's about people. And so maybe that's why it's the hard part. And I think the way to transform culture is really, it starts with our leaders. Mm-hmm. And it's about kind of identifying what culture do we want to create, what environment do we want to be in, and then it's about being. So if you're a leader in an agency and you want to see a change, you need to be the change, because everyone will start to mimic kind of what you're doing.
Very
and it's
important.
About being and not just saying or doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and easier said than done, though. Mm-hmm. It really takes a lot of buy-in and getting the middle management that's sort of in many ways often the stumbling block, and even more management leadership at the top. So, well, let's talk about Agile for a second, and what's your response to why it's so critical to government? It seems like it always would have made sense.
Yeah.
What do we need to think about Agile in the current environment, and why is it so important?
Yeah, well, Agile, because you said it always makes sense. It's very intuitive. It makes sense that we want to talk to our users to find out from them what they need, rather than a business analyst who has a bunch of requirements. Technology changes so fast, so for us to be fast is important. Instead of waiting 4 years to deliver on something, Agile allows us to prioritize, and we're prioritizing by what is valuable, which again, goes back to what's valuable for the user, but also with cost. Mm-hmm. It's letting us iterate, it's letting us learn. It's about people, so the people who are actually doing the work are able to reflect and figure out how to do things better. And then the people who are going to use the end product as well. And so the stumbling block that we keep hearing is around procurement and governance, and all of that, is maybe hard to change, but can change, and like we heard today, is changing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and certainly an additional part of that is the notion of governance. You have a lot of diverse players, and getting them all in the same room, and if anything, the sense of progress is certainly exciting to see. Yeah. In many cases, it's getting more of the commitment from the different players within an agency to experience that, I suppose. So, well, last question that I have is, what have you learned that works best for introducing Agile into government? How do you get the ball started?
Yeah, I don't think there's a silver bullet. We've seen success with different methods. So 18F and USDS started internally. USCIS hired external expertise. My own experience has been as a vendor coming in working as a development team alongside with a government development team, bringing in our Agile practices and working side by side. And then when we're done with that project, that team can continue on with what they've not only learned but experienced and had the hands-on experience. And we've seen great success with that. And then, of course, there's also internal training, which should be ongoing anyway.
Well, terrific. Well, Elizabeth Raley, thank you so much for joining us today, telling us a little more of your perspective on Agile, and we'll look forward to hearing more about your firm's work and how agencies are benefiting. So thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.
And we want to thank our audience for joining us today. I'm Wyatt Cash with FedScoop TV, and you can see more of our programs on fedscoop.com. Thanks for being with us.